Okay, the next few tasks is dealing with reasoning skills. I'm going to work one of each task to help you get started. Okay, let's start with task 6, smartphones. Suppose P and Q represent the price in dollars of a 64 gigabyte and a 32 gigabyte smartphone respectively, where P is greater than Q, which that makes sense. If you purchase a phone with more memory, you're going to pay more for it than one with less memory. So that's where P is greater than Q. So P represents the price of a 64 gig. Q represents the price of the 32 gig. Interpret each of these expressions in terms of money and smartphones. Then, if possible, determine which of the expressions in each pair is larger. Okay, well, first let's interpret each of the expressions. P plus Q. P plus Q would be, when you interpret that, price of a 64 gig plus the price of a 32 gigabyte. Okay, we interpreted the first expression. The second expression, 2Q, means twice or 2 times the price of a 32 gig. Okay, using reasoning, we can determine which one of these would be larger. The problem already told us that the price of a 64 gig is greater than the price of a 32 gig. So when you look at the first expression, the price of a 64 gig phone plus the price of a 32 gig phone is definitely going to be larger than if you bought just 2 of the 32 gig phone, because you're already paying for, in the first one, the 64 gig, which is higher, plus the price of the 32 gig. And the other one is just 2 times the smaller memory phone, which could never total what the larger phone plus the smaller phone would be. So that's using reasoning. You also could plug in numbers if it helps you. For instance, 64 gig phone, let's say it's $600 and a 32 gig is $400. So in that case, 600 plus 400 would be 1,000 in the first scenario, and in the second one, 2 times 400 would be 800. So $1,000 is definitely greater than $800. So we would determine that P plus Q is your larger of the two expressions. Now, when you finish working these, you can record your voice explaining it like I did, or if you wanted to write down the explanation and how you arrived at which one is larger. But I definitely want to see how you've interpreted each expression and which one is larger and why it's larger. Okay, let's continue on the next task. Okay, it says let X and Y denote the number of male and female students respectively in a university where X is less than Y. Okay, X is the male, because it said respectfully, so that means in that order, and Y is the female, where male is less than females. Male less than females. Okay, if possible, determine which of the expressions in each pair is larger. Interpret each of the expressions in terms of populations. Okay, well, let's interpret X plus Y. Well, we know that that means, since X represents male, when I interpret this, that is male population plus female population. Okay, so we've interpreted the first one. The second one, that means 2 times the female population. or twice the female population. Well, if we look back and remember, males are less than females. So in other words, there are more females than males. Okay? So in that, using that reasoning, the male population plus the female population, is that larger or smaller than 2 times the female population? Well, if the male population is less than female, or you could say the female population is greater than the male population, then 2 times the female population would be the largest of the two. So that's my reasoning for that. If you, like I said, if you wanted to reinforce your reasoning and plug in numbers, then you could do that as well. So you will finish the other two using this same type reasoning. Okay, and moving on to the last task in this. For each pair of expressions below, without substituting in specific values, determine which of the expressions in the given pair is larger. Explain your reasoning in a sentence or two. Okay, well, let's look. 5 plus t squared and 3 minus t squared. So t squared is the same in both expressions. So if you have 5 and you're adding t squared to it, that is going to be larger than if you only had 3 and you subtracted t squared from it. And I know it says not to plug in specific values, but mentally you can go, okay, let's just say t squared is 5. Well, isn't 5 plus 5 10? And 3 minus 5 would be -2. 10 is definitely more than -2. I know it said not to use that, but I wanted you to see the reasoning behind it. If you start off, if you have, let's just say, let 5 represent $5. If you have $5 and you add a specific amount, okay, you know it's going to be more than $5. We don't know what that exact amount is, but we know it's going to be more than 5 because you're adding to 5, okay? Then you know it will be greater than $5, okay? All right, if you have $3 and you subtract that same amount, what do you know? That you're going to have less than $3 because you took away from $3. So obviously the larger of the two expressions would be 5 plus t squared because you're adding to 5, and in the second situation you're subtracting from 3. Okay, I want you to use that same reasoning and finish answering the rest with a sentence or two explaining how you arrived at that. Good luck. Let me know if you need any help.